Yep. So, welcome to the tonight's talk on suicide prevention, which is a continuation of this week's topic and new project I've set my brand Mental Health for You to reduce global suicide by 15% by 2030. It's a very early project, and I've just basically following up on some data analysis that I'll be reading and discussing. So, I'm going to keep this talk brief. I'll talk for about 10, 15 minutes maximum. And some of this data you're going to see tonight is pretty old, but I wanted to bring it to a light because we can see some patterns and trends around not specifically why people take their own life, which is very difficult to work out, by the way, but some of the current trajectories we have in the global health systems in terms of stress, anxiety, etc. So I'll get stuck into this talk and I hope you get value from this. And if you want to get involved in my project, please do direct message me anytime you wish on LinkedIn. So this is mixing two sets of data. Okay, so globally, suicides account for 50% of all violent deaths in men and 71% in women. Now, this data is pretty old. This was referenced from the World Health Organization back in 2014. Now, the reason why I've put 1 in 4 women would experience, what I can see, there is a strong pattern here between poor mental health, depression, and also a link with domestic violence, okay, which is going up more recently, and sexual offences. So, in short, okay, we're not very good at managing our own mental well-being, and so much so that shapes into new data sets for and violent deaths are attributed to different emotions. So there's a lot going on here. However, my predictions is because of uh, sexual offences in the home and also violence against both male and female, not just women. We're going to see over the next 2 to 5 years an increase and not being taught that. Hence, my this morning's conversation was around how do we safeguard people's brains? Well, we need to be introducing re-education around servant leadership principles, emotional intelligence, and self-reflection. And you can see that lecture up on my profile. I think I've put it on a feature. So this becomes quite complex already because we are looking at two different sets of data and two very stark trends. Depression's going up. Certainly in America, around 30% of Americans have either been diagnosed with depression or know someone that has, referenced the recent data from Gallup. And one of the fundamental problems we have with global suicide levels, it's very difficult to monitor that. Every 40 seconds, someone sadly ends their life, according to World Health Organization. But that, I would say, that's gone up significantly and will go up even more. So more people than ever, sadly, in this world are choosing to end their life, which is, really saddens my heart. And my passion is to share my research and work with collaborators and organizations, governments around the world to introduce better education for everybody so that we can, I wouldn't say live in a peaceful world, we get to understand and manage our emotions more, okay? And that's the reason why I'm doing this. And why wouldn't you not act? Why would you not share your research if so many people are falling victims to not managing their feelings and feeling that they're a burden on others, which is often the data that we've seen. So moving on just slightly, and there are many different ways you can cross reference this data, but the crime is going up, suicides are going up, and in short, we need to re-educate ourselves to managing our own mental well-being. Okay. Um, Suicide rates are highest in person over 70 years. Now, this is quite old data, but on this side of the spectrum, this goes to show that it doesn't really matter, and this is quite evident in everyday life. We all have emotions, and it, when we get to our later years, we're still going to have thoughts and feelings. That's the way the brain works. But it doesn't, I'll show you on the next slide the other set of data. This is quite surprising. Now, this is pretty old. This is 2014, but it goes to show that, a lot of countries don't have support to or access to mental health services. And reference point this morning's conversation, we're never going to have enough resources for everybody. So we all need to get better at managing our thoughts, feelings, and behaviours, our emotional intelligence, or our mental well-being. And the only real way I can see we can do that at scale at this moment in time, without education reforms, which are just not going to happen, and they wouldn't happen fast enough to save lives, is through educational videos at scale. So this particular set of data shows that it doesn't really matter what age you are. We're all affected for everything: our memories, our past, what we're doing now, and all regions of the world. You can see it in front of us. In an actual fact, from the World Health Organization, it's actually lower and middle income countries that are showing the highest rates of suicide. Sadly, so I'm going to move on to my last set of data. I've kind of really rushed through this, but some countries' suicide rates are among highest in 15 to 29-year-olds. Now, I think in 2019, the fourth biggest cause of death was suicide, and it was this particular age group. Now, we know through COVID-19, sadly, the elderly people and 15 to 29-year-olds suffered the most in terms of their mental well-being. And this particular set of data is still trending. And it even goes back to some data I've got recently from TikTok, which I'm experimenting with different videos. As young as 13, and I would predict in the years to come, you're going to see this age group get lower and lower, even as young as 8, where sadly people are born in difficult families and many different situations. But in short, the education isn't there really to safeguard people's brains in terms of teaching them how to look after themselves for their own mental well-being. And a lot of people don't call for help. In actual fact, people that do in their life, it's a second attempt. That's data from World Health Organization. I will try to put a link in the box at the end so you can access this report. It's been going quite a while now, part of WHO's initiative. Now, this particular age group, I'm trying to focus more on. Although, reference point in the last slide, we all have emotions. We're all human, and when you look at the facts, is that it only takes a couple of weeks for us to be depressed. Our mood can go low. We can lose our job. Loads of different things can happen. So it's very hard trying to shape and look at different data to see where help is most needed. I would argue that in general, certainly through COVID, we're just simply not that great in managing our own mental well-being. So we need to get to ourselves into a position where we are looking after ourselves better and then turning around to the next person and helping them. That's what we call empathy in action, which is a number one leadership skill. And it's not evident, it's not taught in schools, it's not taught with this age group. It needs to be, because otherwise these global suicide rates are just going to get higher and higher, and that affects everybody. It affects global health systems, and it costs money. And most of all, it's just sad. Okay, people choosing to end their life. So that's that set of data. I think I've wrapped it up then, and I think I will just try to conclude, if I can. So yeah, thank you for joining me briefly. I've only spoken for about 10 minutes on this. It's very difficult trying to conceptualize all of this, and I'm doing the best I can from the data that I'm analysing from World Health Organization, and I'll be looking at other sets of data. My goal is to reduce global suicide by 2030 by 15%. Previously, WHO set it at 10% by 2020. I haven't actually seen evidence of what they've achieved so far, and I've slowly started to connect with as many suicide prevention professionals on LinkedIn as possible. So if you do work in this industry and you want to get involved in this project, please do just connect with me and follow me for updates. If you want to arrange a Zoom call to understand what I'm trying to do and how I'm going to try to do it, please do just direct message me here. So I should be doing a lot more of these talks around this subject because there is a lot to analyze, and I really think that we got a great chance at this time with this era, but particularly because of AI. And my own brand is in the process of making an app that will allow us to predict the reach of videos on social media. So that does two things for us. That gives us more viral marketing capabilities, and it allows brands to open new markets and new products more effectively, because currently at the moment it's quite difficult with all the social media tools we've got to predict how well a video will perform against algorithms, which I've been looking at separately as part of my additional research for the last 2 or 3 years. Anyway, I thank you for joining me here on LinkedIn and YouTube, and I will bid you a safe and good weekend. I'll be back here tomorrow on LinkedIn and YouTube. Probably be going to do another analysing more data around suicide prevention, because sadly, every 40 seconds someone ends their life, and I think we need many hands on deck as possible. There's loads of great work being done, but the current trajectory is that these levels are getting higher and higher. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Hopefully, you can hear me and the picture quality is okay. And I'll see you again soon here on LinkedIn or YouTube. Thank you. Bye for now.